Yo, welcome to the Life Podcast. This your boy Triple D in Southern Central Florida. That's why I'm here with my sunglasses on, out in my backyard, just getting ready to record this podcast to talk about a couple things. There are some things that I definitely want to talk about, but I see the rain coming in. You see the gray clouds coming in, so I don't want to hold you all too long. Plus, me personally, I don't like long podcasts. When I listen to them, especially one person talking, I can go maybe 10 to 20 minutes if it's interesting. So I try to keep mine less than 20 minutes. So what y'all think about my shirt here? It says, my Life Podcast, Triple D shirt that I created, design I created. I'm gonna come out with more colors. I'm very creative, so that's another thing I like. I like to create shirts. I like art. I just like to do things. When I see something and it inspires me, I have to go in and do something similar. So I'm not being a copycat. It's just my mind. That's how my mind operates. I'm not a creator. I'm not good at creating stuff, but I can look at things and it motivates me, and I go straight into creative mode. All right. So before we start, who's been watching the playoffs? I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. I hate LeBron James. As a player, I think he's a great person. I love what he does for the community. But as a player, I hate him. He cries too much. But this Lakers Golden State series, man, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. The one thing that I don't like, though, personally, is that the refs seems like they're more on the Lakers side, other than the and not Golden State side. There's been a couple calls where fouls has happened on both sides, but the Lakers tend to get the call. But at the end of the day, it's all good. Hopefully, Golden State's win. I would love to see Steph put LeBron out again, but we shall see. Let's see what happens in that series. I didn't want to talk about that today. I want to talk about something that I really, really love, riding motorcycles. Everyone that knows me know I'm an avid motorcycle rider. I started with sports bikes, and now I'm into the Harley scene. It's funny because when I first began riding sports bike, and I would look at guys on Harleys, one of the things I would always say is I would never, ever, ever get on one of those things. Of course, I was in my 20s and 30s. Now I'm in my 40s. So I've transitioned to Harleys, and I look at sports bikes and say, how did I ride one of those things? They look uncomfortable. They look like they hurt your butt. They just don't look comfortable at all, and they're fast. So I don't want to kill myself. I love speed. So a Harley, I think, is a great place for me. So with that being said, my conversation is going to be talking about traveling on your Harleys. Me personally, I do not consider myself what is it called? A ground pounder. I just like to ride. I enjoy riding. I enjoy riding different places. I've been to California a couple times. I've been to Kentucky. I've been to Maryland and all in between. So I just like to get on my bike and ride, hit state signs, hit different pictures, different places to take pictures, because when you ride, it's all about the memories. And me personally, I like to ride by myself. But there's times where I do ride with other people, but I like to ride by myself, and I can tell you why in a few minutes. So when you ride with somebody else or another group or other people, you typically have to think about everybody in the group and not yourself. And that's cool, fine and dandy for me. But when I'm riding 8 to 10 hours, I would much rather have to worry about myself only. Riding with other people, you always the pros of that is you have those people in the event. In worst case scenarios, you break down, you don't feel safe. It's always power in numbers. But when you ride by yourself, you can stop as long as you want to. You can stop as many times as you want to. You can go as slow as you want to. You can go as fast as you want to. And you don't have to worry about anyone complaining, which is always good in the 8 to 10 hour ride, because you have to pace yourself. Those rides, a lot of people may talk all good about them, but they're not always good. Sometimes they're not fun rides. Sometimes you're in the middle of the ride thinking, man, what have I gotten myself into? But that's like a little part of the ride. If you think about that during the whole ride, you shouldn't be riding. It's just little parts of the rides that suck. My last long ride was a ride to California. And I don't know what made me do it in November, but I did it in November. So I caught cold weather, I caught rain and cold weather, I caught hot weather. I got them all, but I was prepared because I had the proper gear, which is very important when you're traveling on your motorcycle. But what I want to talk about is just riding with a group of people. And some of the important things that you have to consider when you're riding with a group of people that you really don't have to consider when you're riding with yourself. And the first thing is your speeds. When you're riding with yourself, I cruise around 80. Well, 2 years ago, if you caught me on the highway, I was going 90 to 100 miles an hour. What I didn't realize is I was burning through gas like crazy. But now, but the one time last year, I got one day last year I was in Birmingham, and someone met up with me, and we rode from Birmingham to Jackson together. And they asked me, first question they asked me was, "What speed do you ride?" And I'm like, "Oh, around 90, 95, 100." So they say, "Let's keep it between 80, 85," and we did that. And man, I'm telling you, the gas that I say was crazy. Like I went from going to maybe 120 miles per tank to almost 200 miles a tank by 5 miles per hour. So now when you catch me riding by myself, I'm cruising around 85 or 90 if I have to get up and get past somebody. But 85 was like my speed that I cruise in. Now if I'm cruising in a group, I truly believe the same thing I learned in the military. You can only be as fast as the slowest person. Meaning the person in the back that's dragging back. Most of the time they're dragging back because they are not as comfortable with their motorcycle. And the one thing about riding in groups that you have to understand is everyone isn't at the same level on their motorcycle. So when that's why I believe you're only as fast as the slowest person. So when I'm in a group, I like to go around 85, 90. But if I have to, I would drop down to 75, 80, just so everyone can stay in a tight group. Cause as you all know, cars will jump in really quick. And the most dangerous place on a motorcycle is in a formation in traffic, because cars don't care. You know, we're bikes, we don't have bumpers, they'll run us off the road real quick. So the tighter we are in formation, the better we are, the safer we are on that highway. Man, this weather's getting crazy, man. Like, it was just sunny here. Now look at these clouds. The gray clouds are on top of me. I feel a little drizzle. So that's why I took my sunglasses off a while ago. I know it's getting dark, but it's getting dark because these gray clouds has covered the sun. And it feels like it's getting ready to rain. And if you're hearing noise in the background, please ignore that. That's just the water from the waterfall just falling in the water. One of the most relaxing sounds there is. So let's get back on this motorcycle thing. The next important thing when you're riding in groups is stopping. You know, like I said, when I'm riding by myself, I can go to a quarter tank almost to empty. I keep telling myself I'm not gonna do that, but I always end up doing it, riding until my tank's almost empty. When you're with the group, you think about everybody's bike burn different. You have bikes that have cams in them. You have bikes that have motorworks in them, and they eat more gas miles regardless of how fast you're going. So you always got to try to time it by everyone's by the person's bike that burns the most gas and stop with their bike. And when you stop at a gas stop, that's another big issue out there. There's people that like to use this term gas and go. I've never been a gas and go person. Can I gas and go? Yes, I can, but I've gas and go several times, and that's the most awful rides for me. You're tired, you drain, and it's not fun. Like, gas and going is okay if you're gonna do like a 2 or 3 hour ride, but if you're doing 8, 9, 10 hour multiple day rides, gas and goes, in my opinion, aren't the safest and they aren't the best. I always say at a gas stop, between 10, 15 minutes. It's sometimes longer, but it always depends on, like I say, when you're riding the slowest person, when you're at the gas stop, it's the person that may not really feel like they're ready to get back on the road. And regardless of how I feel or how you feel, you have to respect that person, because if you decide to get back on the road and that person, something happens to that person, that's on you and everybody on that group. So I always say, the longer you stay at the gas stop, always depend on the person. And look at this, it's about to rain. So I'm about to jump on change this podcast, jump on the inside, because this is Florida and the rain's coming. So I'll be right back, y'all. I'm back on the inside. I know you're probably laughing at my little setup in here. You know, you see partial of the wall, but it's gonna get better. I'm trying to get a better location to do this podcast. But I just love this podcast because it gives me the opportunity to just express myself and just talk about things that's on my mind. So I know before I was interrupted by the rain, and it's pouring outside. I was talking about topic that's hot in the motorcycle community called gas and go. So for the folks that's not into the motorcycle community, the topic gas and go, what that pretty much mean is, as a motorcyclist, you pull into the gas station, you pretty much keep your helmet on, you go up to the tank, you pull your payment of choice out of your pocket, you pay at the pump, or you walk in, you pay, you put gas in your bike, you get the receipt, you turn your bike back on, and you hit the highway. So pretty much it gives you no downtime. It's just enough time to get gas. So that's what the term gassing and going means. And for me, I don't like gassing and going. I got a homeboy, his big country out in Phoenix, down the pound. Me and him laugh all the time because he's a gas and go king, where I take my time. I'll take anything between 15 to 20 minutes at the gas station. Because honestly, when I plan my trips, I plan them where I can take my time and not rush. I'm not saying anyone do anything different, but that's how I personally ride. And I enjoy the ride. There's no need for me to rush through the ride. I like to take pictures. I like to stop. I like to just take my time, enjoy the ride. Because at the end of the day, when I'm done motorcycling, where I can't motorcycle no more, I want to be able to remember the memories of me, where I've been at, some of the struggles I've had, and things like that. So that's my perspective. But when you're with a group of people, sometimes you can gas and go. My theory on gas and going with the group is if you're going anything under 3 hours, it's safe to go. It's safe to gas and go for the most part. But anything over 3 hours, I think you always have to take your time and pay more attention to the individual that you're riding with. The reason I say that is because if you're on an 8-hour ride and you're stopping and gassing and going, and you're not paying attention to the people that's on that trip, something may happen on that road, and it may not be a bike breakdown. It may be something where the person's fatigued, the person's hot, the person may even pass out on the bike. I would hate that to happen on my watch or while I'm riding. So I always pay attention to everybody, joke around. Plus, at that gas station is where you get to know the people. You may met up maybe several hours ago. Something about us bikers is we meet, and because we have that common interest of biking, riding our motorcycle, we gain a common bond, and we can ride with each other. Most hand signals are the same. Most of us know how to stagger. But the gas station is where you truly get to learn each other. You get to joke around, talk about some of the issues on the last run between the two gas stations, and just get them better. So that's why I'm not a big advocate of gas and go. Another thing about stopping at the gas stop is, sometimes you may have to eat something or get like you a little energy drink. If you're going through Arizona in the summer, but every stop you have to rehydrate, get your electrolytes in. You more than water, but electrolytes, because that heat is unbearable. So those are the things about riding with people that you really have to take in consideration. When you're riding in a group, especially if you're in the front of in the pack, it's always important to pull out from the front and always go and check on every biker in that line, and then go back to the front to make sure everybody's okay, make sure the speed you're traveling is okay. Remember, if you was in the military and you wasn't as tall, you was always in the back of the formation. A lot of people that I noticed, they tend to forget about the people in the back because they're either tall. Even if they was in the military, they're always in the front. The people in the back have it the worst. They can see everything, and if you're in the front going 100 miles an hour, the people in the back is doing 120, because there's going to be people that's in the middle that's not keeping up, and when they keep up, when they catch up, it's going to require the people in the back to run harder. So most of the time, the people in the back are also the ones burning a lot more gas. The ones in the front and the ones in the back. But it's always good to check on everybody when you're riding in every aspect. How are you doing as far as the ride? How's the speed going? How are you feeling? How's your gas going? All those things are important. People don't think about those, but all those things are important. Also, another thing you can ask someone in the back is, how am I doing in the front? Because they see everything. I've ridden in the back several times, and I like riding in the back more, but because when you're in the back, you can see everything. You can see all the mistakes. You can coach the person in the front on some of the things that they did wrong, and it's just, I think it's the best and safest position on the street because you can see everything. So that's my take on gas and going. That's my take on stopping at rest stops. But it goes even further. Once you get to your location, it's important to check on the people that you're riding with to try to get a time that's good for everyone to go back to wherever you're going at. Like I said, when it comes to these things, a lot of people like to dictate. That's not the best way. That's not safe. It knocks off the chemistry. It may give people attitude. So you have to think about everyone and not yourself. I know some people like to gas and go. Some people like to go 90, 100 miles an hour. Some people don't like taking their helmets off. But just because you don't like doing that don't mean we're all like that. So I always say aim at a side of caution with everyone, and don't get an attitude if someone's a less rider. Remember, you were there before. Everybody's been to the point where they don't ride as good. I know me personally, I don't have any issue telling people I need more time, because one thing about me, I'm so confident in my riding that I think I can ride with the best of them. I have no issue. I can ride with the best of them. Am I gonna gas and go? No, I'm not. But I guarantee you, you're not gonna make it there. You're not gonna make it anywhere too much faster than me, because one thing about my style of riding is I would much rather get up at 9 o'clock at night and ride until 11 o'clock at night versus waking up 5 o'clock in the morning and then stop riding before it get dark. Like I say, that's my own preference. Some people like to ride early to like a 5 or 6 o'clock, which is perfectly fine. I just talk about my style of riding. I've been riding for a long time, since I was in my 20s, so I've been doing this for a long time. I have been putting some things up on my Facebook page, just to start some conversations and dialogue. And while this podcast isn't about that, here's some of the things that I've been asking you all, and I would love to get some input on it. And I'm pulling it up right now. As you can see, I'm on my phone, looking to see, because I don't remember what it is. So the first question I asked was, where is it at? If one person is the breadwinner, which means makes the most money in a relationship, what's the expectation of the other person in their relationship? So I'm going to ask you that again. If one person is the breadwinner, makes the most money, what's the expectation of the other person? The second question was for the ladies. Ladies, if you are the breadwinner, how long do you wait before you place your guy? And those are questions, I'm going to talk about them in another podcast, but those are questions that are very funny. They're serious, but they're funny. I'm seeing a lot of back and forth. I see a lot of answers. I see some people keeping it real and some people, not so much. There's people that's not going to keep it real, but I like the people that's keeping it real. Those are questions that I put. They're going to be on another podcast. Tune in. Hey, I need some guests, man. If anybody want to be a guest on my podcast, please let me know. I can get you in. I can get you the setup you need just so we can begin talking about stuff. So with that being said, I'm also going to be going live pretty soon. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, I don't like listening to podcasts that are very long from one person. This podcast is just to talk about some stuff that was on my mind. You feel free to chime in. How do you feel about gas and going? How do you feel about riding in groups? Do you prefer riding in groups or riding alone? All those things, remember, this is my perspective. This is my opinion. I don't force my opinion on anybody. These are just things that I believe in. But I'm always willing to look and see why you believe in the things you believe in, okay? So with that being said, it's about 2:50. I want to go shooting today. I got a new gun. I got a 308. I can't wait to shoot it. So remember, as I always say, until next time, life is what you make it. Peace out.